Welcome, everybody, back to a new
Hello,
season.
Jay.
Uh, yeah, this is a little different. We hoped we'd all, or many of us would be here, but due to certain circumstances, we're not. Tonight's our first night using some new equipment so that we can continue with Zoom when we're live. So this is a good test, so just bear with us if we have any little blips tonight. But otherwise, again, welcome. One thing I didn't get to check today, but as I mentioned in the newsletter, we only had one person respond to the volunteer survey. So please, if you didn't do that soon, so that we have a list. We're trying to get some things in line for next year, and it would be helpful that everybody lets us know what you're willing to do, as we discussed at the meeting back in August. So the only other thing I have, if there'd be anybody that has a desire to photograph at a fair, Holy Fair is this week, and I found out last night that I photographed with two other photographers last year, and the two other photographers can't do it. So I found out I'm it, which I'm not going to be there every day and all the time, but there are some slots. They have some people to fill in. But if anybody has a desire, there are times available on Wednesday, Thursday morning, anytime from 8 to noon or after 6:30. Friday afternoon, I think after 4. I actually ran into Kathy Grimm and she said, "How do you get to photograph?" I said, "You want to photograph?" And so she's doing a few slots. So, but there is some time on Friday evening and Saturday afternoon, evening. Like I said, they have some people to fill in, but if anybody has interest, please let me know. You can put it in the chat and I can contact you, but you can do anything from photograph judging of swine and rabbits and dairy and Dr. Squeezebox, I'm not sure who he is, judging of beef, the heaviest pumpkin way off, which is amazing. I might actually go do that one. Dean Miller and the Kramer brothers, presentation of awards, judging. No, I get to judge the sheep. No, youth pedal tractor pulling, celebrity dairy showmanship contest, the Uptown Band, line dancing and DJ Nugget, and Happy Dutchman strolling, donut eating, Exeter Community Band, Nashville Music Company, and all the other sites that go around. So if anybody's interested, let me know and I can get your name. You do get a badge, you do get free parking. So it saves you on parking. So I don't know, but if anybody's interested, like I said, it just came up. So we didn't try to. Yeah, they do have rides. Yeah, they're fun to do. Yeah. And there's lots of strolling things, lots of exhibits, all kinds of stuff. I will warn you though, and I'm a little nervous about this, it's not a major mask wearing area. So I wore mine to go register and my wife came in and registered, so we were 2. So I won't be going in a lot of buildings, but there's plenty of outdoor things to photograph. So anyway, that's all I have. Vince, do you want to mention some things about the upcoming meetings?
Yes, just very quickly. Next Monday, and these are back to back with, since Labor Day threw us off a little bit. Next Monday is Cole Thompson. He is a premier speaker in photography, and we're extremely fortunate to have Cole speak to us about black and white photography. And during his presentation, he'll be giving away a print that has become quite famous, his Angel Gabriel, and the story behind it. He'll go through some of the stories of his images and how he created them, what he was thinking and what he desired, and the process of how to get there. the angel Gabriel is quite a famous image. It's on the newsletter's description about the talk. It is really, honestly, a not to be missed talk. We have a couple other big hitters coming up from the club and from outside the club. So check out the last newsletter. You'll get the listing there, and more to come for 2022. And that's all I have. And welcome to Bob, and thank Bob for being part of our committee on the Monday night programs, and one of the committee members who was willing to give a talk. And with that, Bob, you can introduce your topic, and I'll monitor the chat room. So we'll ask everyone to mute yourselves and put your questions in the chat, and then I'll speak up when it's appropriate.
Vince, as soon as you mentioned Gabriel, the choir started singing, so it must be magic.
There you go.
I don't know if you can hear the choir, but they are warming up upstairs. So you might hear them over top of me.
Oh, you're loud and clear right now. I don't hear
Okay,
that.
good, for a change. Because my wife says I mumble. So hopefully I don't do that today. Plus, this is the first Zoom meeting. You've seen me from here down. And a year ago, when I joined the club, I wasn't this wide. And I know that the camera puts how many pounds on? Zach, you should know this. Okay.
20.
So I'm really not this big. But I asked Vince what the title of my talk was, because I know it had flash in the title, and I'm not doing a whole lot of flash here. Maybe we'll do something like that later on in the year. I don't know. So this is kind of piggybacking on my last talk. We did a do-it-yourself gear talk. So I don't know if you can see the stuff that's laid out in front of me. This is all my high-tech gear that I'm going to use for this presentation here. So I have a black plastic funnel, and I got some cozies and things like that. So this is, I renamed it just fun with light, because that's what we're going to do. And the picture of myself, I think this is going to work the best. I don't know. We might have to share the PowerPoint window if you can't really read it up here. But I'm just going to stand in front of it and point. And then Kim's going to tell me move out of the way once in a while. What's a sign? Something like that. Okay, right. So if you can't see the entire slide, I might move over. But this is a fun with light, and if you can't see it, it's just for fun. So if you're here to learn any kind of really high-tech, serious photography, just stay with us anyhow. There's not going to be a whole lot of that. This is just for fun. Okay, and again, it's going to be a lot of junk that I bought from the dollar store. All of my junk you can pay, get the professional version of anything here. And I forgot to put the address online, because there is a light painting company, and there's all these other companies who sell professional materials that you see here, right? I'm going to probably keep popping off screen. Let's see if this works. Do I have control? There we go. All right, so why do we play? Why do we have fun? This is my pros, okay? Get out of the creative slump. I think I told Kim, I haven't pulled my camera out of the bag for months. And this forced me to start to play with my camera again, which now I'm getting excited about photography because I had to do this talk. And I put this together this morning. Okay, so learn new techniques. So, it's all about the light. It's all about the light. So having fun with light, you learn new techniques that you can take into your more serious photography also. Discover new and rediscover features from your camera. How many of you use all the features of your camera every day, every time you go out? Okay, so if we're landscape photographers, we know how to set up for landscape. And then we go to sports, and we have to fiddle with those settings. There's a couple settings on my camera I haven't used in a year. I have a multiple exposure, so I can do multiple exposures on my camera. And when I went back into this to do some light painting, I forgot, I can set my camera up more than 30 seconds. So there's a button, I couldn't remember where it was. So if I want to just set it up for more than 30 seconds, most cameras can only go 30 seconds, then you go to bulb mode. Mine I can set up for whatever I want, okay? And I just hit the shutter and it goes for 2 minutes if I want to set it for 2 minutes. So it's not exactly bulb mode, it's bulb mode under control, right? So we rediscover those features we haven't used for a while. Practice without pressure. That's the important one because we're playing, okay? We're playing, we're having fun, and we're practicing with lighting techniques. We're practicing with our flash. We're practicing in bulb mode again that we don't always use. We have some happy accidents, and I have a couple in my presentation that weren't supposed to happen, but I forgot to turn off my headlight, and it was a cool happy accident. So now I'm going to use that technique the next time I go out and do some light painting. We can go out in the dark. Just a funny story. I was out doing some images for this presentation, and I turned back to my tripod that was in total darkness, and I shined a flashlight and I saw two eyes. That was my tomcat, and another two eyes popped up. That was his mate, and they were all happy to be out in the dark with me. So they hung out. They thought, hey, Dad, this is really cool. You're never out here at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to do this every night. So I noticed that they're waiting at the back door now when it gets dark because they figure I'm going to come out. Okay, so we go out in the dark. Okay, have fun and solve problems. So a lot of times I'm trying something, it didn't work, so I try something else. And again, that's going to drift into my serious photography when I need that technique, right? We go out in the dark. I normally put up disclaimers, wear face shields, the solvents, things like that. The one thing is when we're out in the dark, don't run in the dark, by the way, okay? Especially if you're walking with your tripod and the camera's attached, it's going to be pitch black. Don't run in the dark, right? And the cons are, of course, we have to have some cons. People are going to consider you silly because you're going to walk around with stuff like this. I walked in this evening into the Goggle Works. There's some kids there, and their eyes lit up because they saw, fuzzy sticks and all these little flashlights and stuff like that. My wife says, "Are we going to go to the dollar store again?" And she knows this is serious, but it's silly. Okay, and that's the point. It's silly and it's fun. And just like my do-it-yourself gear talk, it can be addictive, right? Okay, here's our lighting gear. Okay, for this evening, it's just a pile of stuff on my office floor here. I have glow sticks, some small flashlights, pool noodles. They're great. Pool noodles are great. We use them all the time for everything except swimming. And they come in different colors, and I try to get different colors, and they're all gone for the season. So next spring, make sure you grab a bunch of different colors, all right? Tube protectors, and those are the plastic clear tubes. They put it over fluorescent lights when they break above your head. They're real easy to find at Home Depot, Lowe's, and so forth. So grab a couple of those. You can cut them and make shorter ones. Those are for lightsabers and things like that. Craft store finds, those dollar store finds, balloons, light sticks in their dollar store. Right now, at least my dollar store is really well stocked with light sticks because it's getting close to Halloween. So you can grab a whole bunch of light sticks for $1 each, and they have all different sizes, all different shapes, and all kinds of different packages for $1, right? Sparklers. I'm not going to do anything that sets fire. Oh, Kim, I'm sorry. Okay, but a lot of the techniques, and I know some of you have seen that, where you spin burning embers and you spin sparklers and things like that. All of our fire and smoke tonight is going to be done with plastics and balloons and things like that. Very easy, and you can do this with the kids, right? Remote triggers. A couple of things that aren't cheap are the remote triggers. And of course, if you're going to use the speed light, which I didn't bring, but I have a Godox light. I have a couple of those. And for our demos here, you don't have to have anything really expensive. If you have an old speed light, I'm just going to be firing it with the test button. So it's not going to be fired remotely. It's going to use some techniques with the test button, right? See if this works. There we go. Okay. So small lights for small models, and you'll see what I mean by that in the next slide. These little things right here for $1 from Walmart. They used to be $1's worth of junk, but the ones that I just bought, they're LEDs. They come with the battery, so there's 3 batteries in here already, so it's already worth $1, and they're fairly bright when you're in total darkness. And I bought 5 of them and none of them have died yet. So if I bought 5 of the old ones, they all would have been dead by now. But I recommend you look for them because they're really handy to have around, not just for photography, but I have a couple in the car. I have one in my briefcase, and they are fairly bright. They're push button in the back. They're probably not bright underneath these lights, but if we turn all the lights off, they're fairly bright. I think they're only 50 lumens. It's a 50L, that's the name of it. But they're almost too bright for, light painting still lifes. They're too bright, but they're really nice to use in these lightsabers and things like that. So that's $1, and I bought 5 of them. And again, my wife said, how many flashlights do you need? Well, I need more. I need more than 5. Okay, and some of these other ones that you see up here, the one that I use, that I'm using the most for this demonstration is that $1 one at the top, and this little Coast light. It's a pen light, and it's really nice because it's small. It's not too bright for some of the close work that you're going to be doing. And it gives you, this is a inspection light. It doesn't come with the lanyard. I'll talk about that a little bit later. It's an inspection light, so it gives me a really good, round, clear, no hot spot in the middle. So it's really nice light. I think this was all of maybe $8 or maybe not that much. It's Coast, and if you see Coast, they're fairly good lights, and they're fairly good light balance too. They're not really tinted yellow or green like some of the other stuff that's out here. So this is the one, and this is the one I use most in this demo right here. So the $1 one, and about, I think this is maybe $8, maybe $5, something like that, right? And then all the other different types of little lights that you might have. This is a little $2 light. I think this was found in the auto parts department at Walmart. This one, I believe, was in the camping section. This one is in the camping section. So there's, if you're looking for a flashlight, don't just go to the flashlight display in the camping. Go back into the auto section and the lighting section and things like that. So this is a little light that is fairly bright. It has a dull and it has a strobe, right? So we can use each one of those settings for different techniques. It has a hanger, so you can hang it. You can do all kinds of stuff with this. And it's actually magnetic, so it does stick to metal too. And that came from the auto tools. There's a lot more expensive, a lot better lights than what you see on this screen right here. You can go up to hundreds of dollars for those very expensive, nice dimmable flashlights and things like that. And then you can do a much more serious light painting. Okay. These little wands, they're all over the place, and I can't find all of them. The little green wand, the red wand, those are those hazard lights you might have. And they have a little flashlight on the end, and then they have either the red or the green a wand. And they also have the flashing mode too, if you want to do some strobe work, right? So these are the lights, and this one at the top is a little work light, which is really kind of nice because it does give us a wider beam to do some painting close. It's, again, almost too bright, but it does have, and I could even see it on my hand, it does have a little bit of a greenish yellow tint to it. So if you're looking for, color balanced light, none of these are color balanced, but this is fairly good sunlight value right here for $1, right? Okay, so the $1 light is one I'm using, but these are small lights for small models. So let me see if it goes. So there's my small model. Looks just like my wife, by the way. She doesn't mind me saying that because she laughs every time I say that. Okay, so there's actually a little me inside of it, but I didn't pull it apart. So that that inspection light, I just hung it, showed her above her, gave her spotlight, and it gives me a nice round circle. And then that green little wand is sitting behind her to give us that green tint behind. So it's not a real complex light painting project right here, but the background is not total darkness. This is just in my dining room, so it's just dimly lit. So it went totally dark because I dialed in that exposure, and it gave me a spotlight on my star, right? This is the other light that I just showed you, this work light. And all I did here was I just aimed it, so it just flooded the front. So it gives me, instead of expensive soft boxes and flashes and, you know, studio lights, it's just tiny lights giving me a studio look on a really small subject like this. And then this is that green one just swiped in the back. And you've seen that before. The one light that I haven't showed you yet is, of course, in your pockets and your phones, right? So you've probably seen that in the same technique. You just turn on a green picture and then just swipe it behind whatever you have on the table. And I wasn't real careful, and you see it sort of bumped up on the side right there. But that's a way of giving it that studio kind of look. And if you have different images on your phone or your laptop, you can do the same thing and just swipe it behind your subject. And so small lights for small models. Right. Then we have the glow sticks. Okay, I have a couple here. Like I said, right now, they're probably half gone from the dollar store. I'm talking about the one down in Morgantown, by the way. If you're looking, they had a huge rack of these. So they have the small ones, they have big packs. If you can find this one, okay, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but on the screen, it was the multi-pack, because one thing that was in that multi-pack was the little wand that I'm going to show you how I reuse this a little bit later. So the one, you can stick 5 of them in there and swing 5 little glow sticks around. These glow sticks lasted fairly long, right? So the easiest thing to do with the glow stick is just wave them around in front of your camera in total darkness. So this image right here, I didn't bring the vase. It's not that color, by the way. It's a teal color, but it's translucent. So there's a green glow stick stuck in the middle of it. So change the color of that vase, first of all. Then I had 3 glow sticks, the orange, the green, and the red, okay, in my hand. And the important part here is the planning. So I didn't want to swing these glow sticks around that vase and knock it off the table and smash it, and then get in trouble with my wife, right? So I started, first of all, you focus on the vase with the lights turned on, right? Second is the background is just a piece of black blanket material, like a fleecy material, so it doesn't reflect, right? Then you turn the lights off. Okay, this is the tricky part because you're in not total darkness, because I have a couple little lights on the water heater in the basement. It throws off a little bit of blue through the room, but it's not going to show up in my images. But once my eyes adjust, I can kind of see everything in the room. This is where these come in. All right. These are the remotes. And like I said, I'm not going to trigger the flashes with the remotes. I'm going to trigger the camera. So this one goes in the camera, it's the receiver. This one's in my hand. So that way I don't have to fumble around finding buttons in the dark, right? And I can trigger the camera by clicking on this, and this is plugged into the remote trigger on the camera. So I'm not using it for the flash, but I'm using it to trigger the camera itself, right? Actually, in the basement when I was doing this, I just used the timer. So the self timer gives you 2 to 10 seconds, depending on your camera. So I have the lights on. I can see where the vase is over here. I trigger it, it starts beeping. I turn the lights off, and then I'm ready to go. And then I have 2 to 10 seconds to go from, about 10 feet from the camera to the subject. So I placed the glow sticks in the vase. When the shutter went off, then I started to pull them out of the vase and started to swirl them just a little bit, right? And I don't have the seconds up here. It's probably about 3-second exposure for this exposure, right? That's one. This is another one. This is still the same. These are just glow sticks again. So the same vase, but you can see it's red because I threw the red glow stick inside the vase. So totally changed the look of the image. And this is just the orange glow stick, shaking it from behind, okay, fast enough to blur it. Now, I don't know if you could see it, because, well, you can't because I cropped it out. My arm is right here, my hand is right here. And I did process this in Lightroom to get rid of my hand. And that's an important piece of equipment that I forgot to bring. Once I saw that on the back of my camera, I went upstairs, grabbed an old sock, not from the laundry, put it on my hand, a black sock. So that way my hand and my arm wouldn't show when I'm waving things around because there is just enough light off the glow sticks to show my hand in blur, right? When you're doing this, it's best to wear a black outfit because, and if I had, I'd cover my mouth with a black mask also. I have a hoodie, I have a black hoodie, and I have black sleeves, and I have black pants, and I have a black ball cap on usually when I'm doing this. And I'm gonna start wearing a black mask once it cools down because it was too hot to wear masks outside. And that way, any kind of reflection, if I'm in the shot, and I have a couple of them in here, I don't have to photo touch them out, right? So the previous one actually had my hand. I don't know if you could see it, but there was my hand waving the glow sticks. And this is just another example of the same thing. So I just held it and just waved it behind that red vase. Like I said, it's not a red vase. It's a teal translucent vase with a red glow stick inside of it. Now, with the small lights for small models and the glow sticks, you can combine them both. So that's a green glow stick inside the vase. So it turned it brighter green. And then that little pen light as my fill-in light for the hydrangea flowers. Okay, again, this was in almost total darkness in my basement. So it's on a piece of black velvet. So the black velvet, absorbs all light. It's not real reflective, but you are starting to pick up some of the black velvet on the bottom from that pen light that's shining down from the top. And it's trial and error when you're doing it this way. Now, the high-end light painting, and I know some of you have taken those workshops, and I can't remember the name. Vince probably knows the name. They do multiple shots and then combine them in Photoshop. Okay, so this is just one shot, so I couldn't get the shadows underneath quite as nice as I wanted it. All right, so that's a combination of the glow stick inside the vase and then that pen light for my highlight. And of course, you can do stupid things like this, okay? And sorry about the creepy model, okay? I can't get my wife to do anything with me, right? So I have to use myself, right? So this is just a speed light in the dark and just flashed. Now I'm on bulb mode I'm on 15 seconds here. So I got 15 seconds of flash it 3 times. Stand still, flash it, move your head, flash it, move your head and flash it. Okay, remember the camera only sees the light. So if you keep that light close enough to just you, it's not going to pick up anything. You can start to see the blanket in the background here because we had some spill light because I was too close to the background. But if I was farther away from the background, you wouldn't see anything in the background. Okay, now this was also processed a little bit in Lightroom to bring up some of the highlights of the shirt and things like that. But that's kind of, and I've seen them where it's, see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil, okay? And you can just step sideways and do the same thing, okay? So this is, again, fired with the test button. It's not fired remotely. It's just in my hands. And if I would have worked a little bit better, I could have got better shots. And if I would have had a better model. Okay, so we got that little pen light. And from my other talk, let's add a balloon. Okay, balloons are cool, and the balloons act as really nice filters or gels, right? So again, this is a little pen light. I'm not going to blow up these balloons. I'm tired of blowing up balloons. But you blow it up and just slide it on top of this, and it doesn't lose air. So I'm not tying knots in or anything, and it just fits over the top of this little pen light. So it looks like a big lit up globe in the dark. So it gives me a nice globe soft, in this case, orange light. Of course, we have pink, we have red, and we have green, and we have white. White just gives us a nice soft white glow. And we can use that in all kinds of ways. So this is that setup with the orange balloon. And I just put a piece of glass with a spent glow stick in front of it and just wiggled it around behind the glass. And again, it's all random. That's what's fun about it, because you don't know what you get until it shows up in the back of your camera. And I have about 4 or 5 of these, and they all look different. It looks like lightning in one, looks like smoke in the other one. And it depends on how fast and how far you wobble that. I didn't show you the one that my wife said, you can't show that one. Okay, the balloon's up here, right? I have it in front of the camera. I'm just wobbling it back and forth like this, really fast. Okay. It comes up. Looks like I took a picture of myself with my pants down towards the camera. Looks like two big cheeks, right? And I said, I'm going to use that and see if I get any reaction. Okay, so you really don't know whatever you want. So I turned it upside down. I was trying to make a heart, and I couldn't get the sharp edge. But I can get that started, and if I take it into Photoshop, I could sharpen that up, and it would look like this glowing heart, right? So that's one with the balloon on the light. This is a red balloon and the green glow stick inside of it. So what you're seeing, that white coming off of that, that's the hot spot where the flashlight is shining straight through the balloon. And it's nice and soft because I haven't stopped moving it. And I think that's probably about a 15-second shot there also. Right. And if you use the balloon and you're outside, and you can do a combination of all of them. So this is just, again, the speed light, the Godox speed light, and hitting the test button and just sort of walking around in my driveway. So now you can see that ugly model along with the balloons. Okay, and again, it's total darkness, but I'm in my driveway, and this is also a tip. If you're in your driveway, don't point your camera towards the road, because I kept getting those tail lights and headlights streaking across my light painting, right? You can start to see at the top. I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but this is at night. This is 45 seconds. So we're starting to see the night sky peeking through the trees at the top, right? So I'm walking around. I'm hitting the test light. How many times? I'm holding the balloon above and I don't know where it's hitting. So it's hitting my face. Sometimes it's just away from me and the others. So I decided, okay, I have the speed light and it has multi-flash built into it. So that's one of the modes. Let's try this, okay. So I put the flash on multi-flash mode so I don't have to keep hitting the button. So I have it set to 1 hertz. That means 1 flash every second. If it was 2, it'd be 2 flashes every second and so forth, right? And I set it to 20 times. So every second, my flash is going to pop automatically, as long as I hold the test button down. So now all I have to do is hold the test button down once and just move around every second. I'm going to get another pop. So if you count them, there's 20, I think there's 20 balloons in there, right? So now I don't have to put everything on bulb mode. I set the camera to 21 seconds. So, and the camera shuts itself down. So all I have to do is push the remote to start the camera. Actually, I didn't do that. I said 10 seconds and I ran out and got in front of it. And then when I heard the shutter open, I hit the bulb mode and I got 20 pops, okay? So this is what, I don't know if you've used this on your own flashes, that you put it in multi-flash mode, and then you have the hertz setting. Again, that's basically, simplify it. It's 1 flash per second. If you have 20, it'll be 20 flashes per second. And how many times you want it to flash? So this means I need at least 20 seconds of exposure to catch all of those flashes. Now, when you're using the test button, which is that green button on mine, okay, you have to have it, you have to hold it down the whole time. It'll just do a couple and stop. But if you want to do the whole 20 seconds, you have to hold it down for 20 seconds. But you don't have to keep pushing it down. Okay, that's one way of using it. Now, that would be flash techniques that we could have fun with that I didn't include in this presentation, is multiple flash fun with, you know, moving objects and things like that. Maybe next time. All right. Now, the next thing is going to be your do-it-yourself light painting toys. How many of you like to do it yourself toys? Right? Oh yeah, okay. I know Kim likes to buy her toys. She already told me before we started the meeting. What's the toy you have? Oh, Pixel Stick. We should talk about that. You should bring that in and play with it for us, right? Okay. So this arc right here is just this thing right here. Okay, this is what I said, you're going to look silly. Okay, you're just going to look silly if you walk around with something like this, right? This is one of those flashlights shoved in a piece of those those fluorescent protectors, right? So this is a transparent tube. Inside of it, I have a dollar store book or folder binder. Okay, it's blue. It's rolled up and stuck in there, so that's going to give me my blue light. And these are something I just discovered. Jenny, you probably use these all the time. Yeah, they're pipe cleaners. They're not pipe cleaners, come on. They're called neon fuzzy sticks, neon fuzzy sticks. And they come in all kinds of colors, right? All right. Oh, you were a teacher, you have kids, yeah. Okay, so what we have here is we have one of those push button flashlights at the base, and it turns on with a button, right? It's shoved inside that plastic, and I have electrical tape around it so we don't get any of that hot spot. So at the base, if I didn't do that, you'd have a real bright spot right here where the flashlight is, right? So it gives me a more even glow right here, right? It's in a seldom used piece of foam from an exercise bench that I don't normally use very often, okay? So I pulled that off, so that holds everything together. And then it's shoved on the end of, I just used a broomstick there, black broomstick, but I shoved it on the end of one of my paint poles. So now I can make it taller or shorter if I need to. Now the paint pole has a lot of white and yellow on it, so I covered it up with a piece of black foam insulation that you put on your plumbing. Okay, these are very useful too, right? It's split, but you can get them without the split. That's just to cover up the yellow and some of the writing on the pole, right? If I paint it all black, then I don't have to use that, right? So what you do, you push this down because the button's at the bottom, so it's pushing it down on the pipe, and it turns it on, right? And then all we're doing here is we're taking it and we're shaking it, okay? And because, yeah, okay. And because the top, that's because I pulled this out, because the top is open, anytime these come into that light beam, they reflect that light. So that's where you're getting the flame tips around the edges right there. And because I pulled this out and shoved it back in, they fell out. But I can exchange these for different colors. So I can have different color flames. I can pull this out and put a red one in here, so I can have the red base in here, gold or whatever. And all it is just me standing out in the total darkness doing this and doing a circle or half circle the whole way around. Now this again is on bulb mode, okay? So I'm using these in the dark. I'm using these triggers in the dark. So I'm walking down, before I start, I'm walking down the driveway and I'm focusing on something. So that's the one thing I forgot to do, is focus my camera. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to play with light. I forgot to focus my camera the first time. So I lit something out in the driveway, and I have a tree right there so I can line myself up. And I focused my camera on that bag. I put the bag out there, put a flashlight, and I focused on that point. That way, when I knew I got out there, my camera is going to be focused there. So it's manual focus, okay? And then I turn off all the lights. Then I walk out to that spot with my remote, and this is on bulb mode on the camera, fire it. This is already turned on, okay? And I'm behind it. I'm facing the camera. It's important that your light is in front of you, okay? And you'll see why you'd want to do something different than that. And all I did was I just sort of did this in one hand and shook it, and hopefully they don't fall out a whole half circle. Okay? I also have one I did try to do a full circle, but I'm too short, so I had to shorten the pole, right? And that's where that flame tip comes in. And again, you can quickly and easily change the color just by changing the color of your fuzzy sticks, because they come in all kinds of different colors, and change the color of the inner tube coating. And you can turn it off just by, I thought that was really cool, just, you know, and that's why I use that foam, because it gives a little bit, so I don't have to pull it out and push it back in. Okay, so that's my do-it-yourself flame stick, my Tiki Torch, and you can do that in front of the camera and use it in all kinds of ways. Okay, so these are some fog fire makers and lightsabers, right? This is an evolution of what I've done in the past couple weeks. This is the one I always used in the past, and it worked pretty well for a long time, right? The flashlight, and I usually use a bigger flashlight because I need more light to do this. You start it in bulb mode again, and you wiggle it back and forth. The the light's hitting this, and it's reflecting off of this. This has to move or else you pick up the texture of ribbon if you're using ribbon. And you're doing this up and down, okay? And what that does, remember, you're in total black. I have black gloves on so you don't see my hands. And all the camera's seeing is the reflection off of these. And some of the white light is going to bounce out of here once in a while, so it's going to light up this part a lot brighter. This needs to be deep enough so that the light doesn't shine out this direction, right? So you're just doing this up and down. That is surveyor's tape, okay? Because it's fluorescent, and you can get this in green and blue and white, and I just had some orange in my backpack because we do some surveying. Okay, so that's up and down, and as long as you keep it moving and you move it fast enough, it's going to create fire and fog and smoke. Okay, explosions is what it is, right? I don't like the light things and explode things in my basement at night. My wife would get upset, right? So all my fire and my smoke is done using these. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of the different techniques. I was doing something a couple months ago with some light, and a piece of this was laying on my workbench. Anybody know what this is? Yeah, string trimmer stuff, right? And mine just happened to be fluorescent orange. So, and when I looked at the image, it's like, what's that bright orange line through there? I'm like, hey, I got another fire maker. So this goes into the piece of plastic tube. This is a piece of plastic tube. See those noodles? I shove it in there. I put this flashlight in the other end, and it shoves in there. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's catching on those. Now this gives me a different look because I'm not going up and down. These stand straight up. So you'll see the difference when you see the couple examples, right? And then when I found these, I thought, well, let's try these. And it worked pretty well. And I like these the best right now. These are the fuzzy sticks. These are fuzzy sticks so that, and you can again change the color here and you shove that in there and it works the same way. Okay, and this little flashlight does a pretty decent job because it actually fits in the center of the noodle also, and it makes a nice little wand. Okay, so again, you're just shaking it back and forth. As long as that light is shining up through the center and hitting these, it's only catching when it passes through that light beam, right? Okay, so those are my fog and fire makers, okay? These are our lightsabers, and they can also make fog and fire, and you'll see. I'm left-handed, I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay, so these are all using the surveyor's tape, okay? And when you use the surveyor's tape, it's important to go up and up, okay? So you're pulling the flames up that way, but it always looks kind of foggy. It doesn't really look like flames coming up from the bottom. So what we usually do is we make the flames and we flip the image upside down, okay? But that's hard to do if you have a container at the bottom of the flames. So you can see it's kind of making this fog around it. The first one is this piece right here. So it's the orange with a little bit of blue. That gives us kind of that purplish. But you can see that bright part is the brightest part that's coming through there. And I'm going up and down, right? So that's the type you get there. The next one, I put an old pink lens filter in here. So the flashlight is now pink, okay? So I'm getting all pink fog with a little bit of that blue ribbon mixed in there. And the other one, I have a red filter in this tube. So the light itself is all red, so everything goes mostly red. And again, it's just up and down, okay, like this, real fast. And they're usually about 15 seconds to 20 seconds exposure. And having the container at the bottom just makes it look like it's fog or fire or smoke, right? And I use that for quite a while to do this kind of stuff. But then with new version, oops, let's do it the right way. This is the new improved, and this is the one where is the string trimmer, okay? So now everything's straight up. So when I'm doing this back and forth, everything looks like it's flames going straight up, right? And again, I have a red filter in this one, so it's all red light. That's why it's going all red. But that's just me standing there above that container doing this with the string trimmer one. This is where I left this in because I didn't have my black shirt, my black glove, my black sock on my arm. So my arm is adding all this. And I didn't have my black hood on, so you can see my face in this. Now, I brought this up in Lightroom so you can see I'm moving too, so I'm blurry. So in some of the images, there's this weird blur brightness, and it's usually my arm that I forgot to cover up. So it's important to, cloak yourself and you're black against the black background. But this is fun because you never know what you get. Okay, and after you do it enough times, which direction to shake it up and down, how long to do it, and things like that. Okay. So that's the difference between the surveyor's tape and the string trimmer. All right, so now let's go outside a little bit. This is the white wand right here. Okay. Now I put this black foam on it so that if I turn it backwards, it almost turns it off. And when I have it like this, it doesn't shine towards me also. I could just put tape on the back, but I like to take this off and on. That way I can use it either way, because a lot of times if I take it off, it gives me better fog effects and so forth. So here I'm in my driveway again. It's a new moon, so we don't have any moonlight out there, but we do have all that ambient light from Morgantown facing that way. So the sky does have some color. You can see with 47 seconds, I'm getting some of those star trails happening up there. I'm just in front of the camera and doing this, just for this demo. Okay, so this is when it lights up. Again, in this room, it doesn't look real bright, but in a dark night, is very, very bright. If I want to make it brighter, what I do is I put another one of those flashlights in the other end. And that gives me a more even light from one end to the other. You can buy these, I think they're called ice lights, for what, about $200? $200. They're much better than this, I know. But this is that dollar flashlight at the bottom. A piece of foam, again, this is from, I forget, a tool that had a foam handle on it. So I took that out, shove the flashlight in that foam and put the whole thing inside of the tube. This is just some Mylar drafting film. You can use tissue paper or what's the kitchen? Parchment paper and line it. This just happens to be, I had drafting material this wide, so it was nice, right? And I covered up the top so that there's only no hot spot coming out of the top. So there's a piece of electrical tape on the top. So when you turn this on, it does have a brighter and it fades away and you get something like this. Okay, this tube is in the lighting department at Home Depot or Lowe's. And you slide these over the old fluorescent tubes. And that way, if they shatter, they don't fall. Okay, so these are tube protectors. And they come in I forget the name of the different sizes. This is for the regular size. And then this one is for the smaller tubes. Okay. They also come in colors too, so you can get them in colors online. So you don't have to put the color inside here. Okay, so that's used for this, 47 seconds, 5.6 f-stop, ISO 600. So I don't have to bump up the ISO to 1200 or anything like that. That light is plenty bright, okay? And then in Lightroom, I color corrected it and everything went blue because this sky is really orange in the original image. Okay, so we're outside, we're just sort of waving around to see what we get. Okay, you can also use this. I don't have any examples behind people, okay, which is really cool, or behind products. You just take it behind and it gives you a nice soft light. Come on. I don't go too far. And this is just walking away from the camera using that white wand and just swinging it back and forth. And if you swing it fast enough, you get fog. Okay, I stopped it at the high spots, so I'm getting these, I'm getting these angel wings, if you want to call it that. Okay. Okay, so I'm just walking away from the camera. So I'm behind the light the whole time so you don't see me. Okay, and I'm in black also, but you can start to see my white beard right in there because I bumped up the exposure in Lightroom a little bit. So that would have to be touched up maybe in Photoshop and and dodge that a little bit. A car did go by, so you're starting to see a little bit of the car lights through the trees go by. So my suggestion is find a field without any lights behind you either. Okay. And this is just some more of the same. This is the blue one. So again, it's just one of those dollar flashlights in there. This is that dollar store cellophane wrap, okay, gift wrap. It's just rolled up a little bit and shoved down the top of the tube. I also typed the top here so I don't get any hot spots off the end. And I can put another light, another one of those in the other end. And that gives me a really bright tube without any real hot spots on either end. It actually reflects back on itself that way. But this is just walking towards the camera now. So I'm down my driveway. I'm just doing this, okay, towards the camera. Happy accident. I forgot to turn my headlight off. That's the red lights. So I'm using my headlight. It's on my black ball cap. And one of the lights is red, okay? And it has two of them. So that's what you're seeing, that lightning right there. That's my headlight that I forgot to turn off, right? It's a happy accident. And this is why. See what it did to the gravel driveway? It lit it up like a red carpet. So if I use the same technique, instead of having my headlight on when I'm walking towards, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to walk away from the camera, turn it off, turn around, turn my wand on, and then walk back towards the camera. So you won't see this coming at you, but you'll see the red glowing on the bottom of the driveway. So again, that's an accident because I forgot to turn my headlight off. This over here is using the blue, just as a crazy squirrel, and this one right here. So this one is just the pull noodle, right? It has a hole in the bottom. This is just the shop vac connector that we don't have the shop vac anymore. So I shoved that over top, right? And that goes, it fits in the end. And when you light it up, again, in here, you can't really see it, but this is very bright at night. So I don't get the hot spot out here. I have a little bottle cap, black bottle cap that I shove in the other end, right? And that's just the yellow that you see there. Now, when you combine more than one, which I did, and I don't have any examples, I have this on the other end. I have two flashlights turned on. You get all these crazy stripes and flames and everything else. So that's just turning one on, walking away, and then turning the other one on later on down the driveway. The one over there is just, I'm just doing this as I'm walking towards the camera. Okay, that's when I'm behind the light. So I don't want to see myself, so I make sure that the light is in front of me, between me and the camera. But if you want your silhouette, okay, you get between the camera and the light. And this works a lot better if you have two people, okay? It's really difficult to do this of yourself because you're standing there and you're trying to do a perfect circle, okay? And of course, my arm isn't on a swivel, so I'm doing this. Oh, I'm doing this. Start one side, take it to one side, grab it, and then take it to the other side, okay? And if I want my arm out there, I have to do this and then switch. It's really complicated. But if you have a person standing there, you stand behind them, okay? You're behind the light, they're between the light and the camera, and you do this, and you have this really cool silhouette. There's a couple that travel around the world, and I forget their names. They're French Canadian, and they do this all the time. They go to these real exotic places, Bolivia, the salt flats with the water. She stands there, she's really pretty, long hair in flowing gowns, does a yoga dance move, and he stands behind her and does these really cool silhouettes. I'll have to add that to the end of the presentation. And they do a lot of these, and they travel around the world, and they're influencer, and they make money just on YouTube. And they sell their equipment now, so they make professional equipment now, but this is how they started, using these, and they have some really gorgeous photography out there. Again, sorry for the model. You can tell it's me by my bow legs, but I have my hood on, and I have my black everything on there, and I just put myself between the camera and the light, right? And again, here I left my red headlight on because I wanted to walk around and not fall. So I had it turned on and I put it down below me and I walked over to the next spot and I did it again and again. Okay, so that's putting yourself between the light and the camera. And then this is another one. Okay, this is that Tiki Torch with the fuzzies. So I did the same thing, but I did this in 3 steps. You can see it's 89 seconds. So my camera's turned on quite a long time. I had one that was 5 minutes exposure, and I am getting some hot pixels. So I have to touch those up in the darkness. You can see the car went by in the middle of this, but I'm kneeling down. You can see I'm kneeling down, and I did the white one first, then I did the yellow one on top of that, and I did the flaming Tiki Torch one on the end. And I'm doing the camera, again, I'm triggering it with my remotes. So I start in symbol mode, so I just hit it once, and mine's set up so that I have to hit it the second time to turn it off. So I do my work, and I turn off the camera by clicking on this again, right? So that way I'm not running back and forth in the dark to turn the camera on and off. And this is a combination of the two. So I walked away from it to get all the white, and I did kind of the same thing in the background with me between the light and the camera. Okay, and you've seen this a million times. I'll bet, how many of you have done this? I can't see the hands on the Zoom, but how many of you have done the Spirograph thing in the dark? Oh, you have to. It's addicting. Okay, it's easy. This is a great thing for winter when you're shut in. Okay, what this is, it's this pen light again. So you can buy expensive tools. Now, I used to just do this with a little pen light with a little light on the end, but I lost it years ago. So I'm using the same one that I'm doing most of this with, this inspector light. That's why this rope is on the end, by the way, right? Okay, so it's the light, and this is where that glow stick wand comes in. This is just a plastic, it's blue. I wrapped it in black tape because it looks much more professional, doesn't it? Right? It's wrapped in black, so it looks professional. Okay, and it has 5 holes in the top, so you can stick 5 glow sticks in there, but only one hole goes the whole way through, the middle one. And I was so lucky, okay? So I don't have to close up the other ones. So this goes in here, and I have one pin light in the middle now. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually too big for what I want to do. So on the professional light painting tools, they have where you can exchange color heads, right? So I want to change the color of this light also, and I don't want to just make it red or blue. I want to be able to change it. So that's where my homegrown filters or gels come in. Those are those book or folder covers. They come in purple, yellow, red, reddish, and blue. Okay, they're not opaque enough. So I cut them in little circles, and this is a cap from a WD-40 spray can. Okay, it happens to be the perfect size, right? So I was looking for a cap that would fit over this wand. So what it does, it fits over the wand. Okay, I put those little filters inside of it. So now I just need a pinhole. So I drilled a 1/16 of an inch hole through the cap. So now what I get is I get this tiny pinhole of light. Now I could use the regular light, but it would make a big line. I wanted this real fine line. So those are the pieces right there laid out. That's that WD-40 cap with a little tiny hole, and this is with it turned on over here. Okay. So the next slide is just it put together, which I have in my hand. The next part is how am I going to hang it from the ceiling? Okay. And it's important that it hangs straight down. So when you're taping your string on there, what I did was I doubled it and I taped it to both sides so it's centered that way. If you have something with a little lanyard, the lanyard is going to hang it crooked. Okay, so that's important. And I used electrical tape. You want to make sure it's secure because this is going to be hanging straight above your camera lens. Okay, and it's not that heavy, but it's heavy enough that if it does drop, I'll bet this wins and the glass is going to lose, right? Okay, so I have this hooked to the rafter in my ceiling in the basement, right? And I have my camera on the tripod below it. It's hanging about this high from the floor. And you need to line up that pinhole to the center of your lens. So you use your live view, and your live view usually has that crosshair in the middle. So that way you can just move your camera around underneath it so it lines up. The next step is one, again, I forgot to do. Focus. Yeah, focus. Okay, because if you don't focus, you're still going to get the spirograph, but it's going to be fuzzy, right? So you're doing all this with the lights turned on. So when you're focusing, again, with the live view, use that 1 point focus. Don't let the camera decide what to focus on, because it's going to grab, and mine's an unfinished basement, so there's heating ducts and stuff up there. It's going to grab that. So put the focus point in the center, have this turned on, it's in the light, and focus first, right? So now you're all set up. Make sure your camera's level also, because if it's cockeyed like this, you're not going to get nice circles, right? So you put the color in of your choice. It's all set up. Okay. Here again, I'm just doing my timer. I'm not using. It's bulb mode, but I'm using this because I don't have to touch the camera that way. Okay. I do use the timer though. Okay, because once I hit this, I still have the lights on, and I went like 10 seconds to go over here and flip off the lights, right? So before I flip off the lights, before I open the lens, I give this a little shove, okay? So it's already doing this, okay, above my camera. And if you know, this is gonna be a spirograph, right? So if you just go like this, it's gonna give you ovals. If you give it a wide swing, it's gonna give you bigger circles. And if you have a longer line, you're gonna get more swing, okay? So you're gonna get bigger circles, right? And this is, again, it's all random, but you're all set up. So it's on, it's centered, everything's ready to go. You give it a little shove. I hit this. My camera starts to beep, 10 seconds, beep, 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 beep. I turn the lights off, right? I make sure I know where this is, first of all, because I need to hit it again to turn the camera off. All right. And then what you get is something like this, right? So this is 17 seconds. And this is where if you push it harder, it's going to go faster, it's going to go wider. So this is all kind of random as far as how long to leave it open. So you're kind of counting because you're in bulb mode, and counting, and you can sort of see it once your eyes get used to it. You can sort of see it on the floor. It's circling and circling. So that's 17 seconds. That's what that purple book cover. This is 49 seconds. Maybe I pushed it a little bit farther. I don't know. Okay. You're seeing a little bit of white because you are, even though it's a pin light, it's hitting the edges of that plastic, so it is giving it a little bit of reflection. Okay, 74 seconds. I changed colors in there. You saw that one was red, one's that purple, right? And that's just giving it a nice arc swing. So I'm getting more of a circle. And then if you want it random, you just bump it while it's swinging. Okay, so that's what I did here. I just kind of bumped it and tossed it a little bit in the dark. So I get that random in the middle. Okay, these are all one color. Now this is more than one swing. So what we're doing here is we do the same setup, we do it once, and then we need to cover up the lens. And I use this, okay? This is just a black funnel. I'm not gonna use my lens cap because you're never gonna hit it in the dark. You could use a piece of black foam cord, something to block the lens. So you cover it up, right? It's still open, it's still in bulb mode, and you grab the light and you give it another swing. Okay, and then you take the cover off. Count a little bit, you can cover it up, grab it and give it another swing. You can find it because it has a little pinhole light. And then when you're done, you just turn off the exposure. So you close the camera down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 swings right there, 3 or 4, okay, with the same color. When you have it covered, you can take this cap off, okay, put in different gel, put it back on, give it another swing, then take the cover off and let it swing with a different color. So that's 3 swings with 3 different colors. Now you're doing the same technique, but you're changing the color cap in between. Remember, as long as the lens is covered, it's going to not see anything because it doesn't have any light. So I started with the blue, let it swing for 20 seconds, covered the lens, changed out the color, started to swing, open it up again 3 times. And then again, just different colors, three different colors. And this one I tried to do all circles, so I tried to give it the same amount of swing out to the edge. And this is the last I'm going to show you. This is a little bit different. This is the same pen light. Remember my glow sticks? This is something you don't want to do with the kids, Ginny. Okay. I just needed a piece of plastic, so I cut the glow sticks after they were done. Okay. And of course, the glow stick material is all over the place. So definitely do this on a paper towel. And it's full of glass, so don't do this with the kids. Real fine glass. Okay. And I cleaned it out, and that way I can put something like this in the end. Okay. So I put this in the end. That gives me that pencil. A better way, and a professional, would be get the acrylic wands and stick it in there. And then I just stuck a drinking straw on top of it. Okay. And that's swinging above. Okay. So now what we're getting this longer light, and that's giving me my Looney Tune look up there. Okay. So it's basically the same tools. It's just changing out the light source on the end. Okay. And this is the color now instead of the gel inside, because I had to take the cap off. Okay. And that gave me that. And that was just experimenting. Right. Okay. And I'm leaving you with some just some random stuff. And that's this bottle right here with some fuzzies. Right. Thank you for listening. Okay. Hopefully I didn't give you the same thing you've already tried. And
Bob, one question for you. With the last technique, hanging from the ceiling, photographing from below, what type of lens were you using? How wide?
I was using my 28, and I had it on 28. It was a zoom, but I had it 28. Of course, the wider you go, you can get bigger, but the trick is also not to swing it out of your frame. So mine was fairly wide with the 28.
Have you tried that by with the addition of spinning the camera 45 degrees and then another 45 degrees and another 45 degrees?
Yeah, I'm not moving the camera at all.
Yeah. So you haven't tried it by doing the camera movement in that fashion?
I actually did have an example of the glow stick stayed and I moved the camera. So but is this technique, the light is always moving. So your camera has to stay still. I know what you're talking about. It's that kaleidoscope thing.
Yes.
And that's actually something that a friend of mine is going to be doing this weekend with me. He's going to do that 20 degrees. He's going to do it 20 degrees with the lens covered. So you take one shot, you cover the lens, you rotate it 20 degrees, you take another shot, and you do.
That's what I meant.
Is that to go around 360?
Yeah.
But he's going to do it 20-degree increments. But that's in full daylight. So you're taking the scene and you're making a kaleidoscope out of your scene. Yeah. Yeah. That's not fun with light. That's fun with camera motion. That'll be our next one. Are there any other questions, Vince? Any in the chats?
That was the only one I had in the chat. Several of us are commenting that quite amazed with your ingenuity. My favorite actually is your lens cap.
Oh,
The black funnel.
Oh, the WD-40 cap, yeah.
No, the black funnel.
Oh, the black funnel, yeah. Yeah, that's why I used it. There's a piece of tape over top of it because I did get a little light peek through there. Now, I did find out this isn't perfect because it does have some shine on it. So on one of the images, I think I had my fingers in the wrong spot. So you can see my fingers coming into the shot. So when you're using anything, it shouldn't be as reflective as this. I did try to use this with the light in it, and it doesn't give me a nice beam because it reflects and bounces all over the place. And it does give me that effect. It spreads it when it comes out of here. So I was trying to use this as a snoot, and it just didn't work because it's reflective on the inside. You know.
Bob, have you tried doing painting with the light where you're actually drawing figures
Well,
and
my
animals?
penmanship sucks. My penmanship's terrible, so I can't do it backwards. Get out of here, Vince. Yeah, people draw things, you know. I've tried it. It looks okay, but I've seen people are really good at it. So they'll draw people, they'll write things, and that would be something like this, with a small light on the end. Or if you use this, it's almost too wide. So you do have to concentrate the light to do something like that. That balloon would actually work. You'd have a glow around it, but the center would be white. So you could write your name and write all kinds of stuff. I've seen people, you know, putting a guitar player around their guitar. So they paint a stick man playing the guitar. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with this. None of this is new. Hopefully I filled in the gaps for you, some of the techniques. There's a whole channel on YouTube, light painting. So if you want to see some really good stuff, go out there. And I'll have to find that couple that travels around the world. Their stuff is gorgeous. Of course, he has a model that adds to it, but they're in the mountains of Peru. They're in the islands. They're in Venice. They're getting all these reflections with those cool lights behind her doing her dance poses. So, you know, it's good to do this with somebody also. Oh, one other tip, I almost forgot. Light sticks, these glow sticks. The one way I always use them also is I have them with me, even if I'm not doing light painting. If I'm out there in the dark, I want to know where my tripod is. So I'll crack one and throw it underneath my tripod. It's not bright enough to pollute my light painting or anything like that. But if I'm walking towards my tripod in total darkness, I don't walk on top of it, right? Because I have a light stick right underneath it. If I want to move my tripod around, this is a light stick. I take this light stick and shove it in that foam legs. And I put 3 of them in there. So now I know where all 3 of my legs are also, especially when you're in a group. So if everybody's walking around, nobody's going to trip over the leg of your tripod. Again, it's not going to pollute your image because your camera's pointing out that way. But if you are in a group and you're in their shot and you're shining some light, you're going to ruin their shot also. I got so many shots with red headlights all over my night photography because we're out there in a group. So, you know, that's really good if you're out there in total pitch black and you can't find your flashlight and you have to walk and find your tripod. You have a little glow stick right underneath it. Right. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that saves some cameras and tripods. All right. Thanks for your time, guys. Vince, any other questions? I can't see anybody. It's on the monitor. It's pointing away from me.
In the chat, there are a lot of thank yous and great creativity. And how did you come up with all these things? It was really very fascinating.
This is only half of it. We have another talk to come. So there's more fun to come. And again, it's all random. That's why it's so much fun. All right.
Well, thank you.
Anybody from the crowd here? Any questions?
If you want to come off mute, folks, and chime in, go ahead.
And I know a lot of this you guys have tried already. I think I saw Jenny say yes. You've tried the glow sticks.
I love that idea of putting one on the tripod. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because you know they last for hours, and you know they're pennies a piece if you get them at the dollar store. You know. But this is the one I'm really excited about. The fuzzy sticks. And they come in white, so I can make one of those and make white fog because they'll do a really good job to make the white fog. Yeah. Right. So Vince, I didn't do a whole lot of flash photography. Maybe next time.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking at you on the monitor over there. That's why I'm looking away from the camera. I'm looking at you.
Yep, you did a wonderful job.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody that's manning all the equipment here too. So show them who's here, Kim. There's our production crew right there. Yeah, that's a technical crew. You know, Zach has been looking over the shoulder, right? There's Zach. Yeah, thank you, Zach. And we also want to thank Habitat for Humanity because we're piggybacking on their Wi-Fi. We wouldn't be able to do that without them. So if they ever see this, thank you. All right. All right, guys. I'm spent.
And I think Jeff has asked the board members to stay on at the end of this.
Okay. All right. Let us
Well,
know
thanks
when
again,
we're off
Bob.
the air.
And we'll see you everyone next Monday,
That's right, next Monday.
Zoom or in person?
Zoom.
Zoom. Okay.
I did one with some Christmas lights that I had
Mhm.
plugged in.
Mhm.
Like you get those